We are live with a desperate situation in Kabul, Afghanistan. I'm in Los Angeles. These ladies are on the East Coast, two noted lawyers. Bonnie, bring us up to date. Bonnie Klapper, former prosecutor, well-known animal rights attorney. What is the situation in Kabul with animal rescuers, both American and Afghani, who are trying to get themselves and their animals out?
Okay, I'm not going to mention names here because the security situation is so dangerous for the rescuer, and that's why she couldn't come on herself. When the evacuation began and the U.S. gave the orders to evacuate service members, diplomats, contractors, any American, people rushed to the airport, but they were told that they could not bring either their companion animals or the working dogs, the bomb-sniffing dogs, the cadaver-sniffing dogs, all of those dogs. They could not bring them on the flights, basically for optics reasons. The animals could have flown in cargo, but for optics reasons, the flights were not allowing any animals on. The animals could have flown underneath in the belly of the plane, didn't matter. So dozens of service members, Americans working in Kabul, left their companion animals, their dogs, their cats, with this rescuer, Kabul Animal Rescue, Small Animal Rescue. She has been either under guard by the Taliban in her home or at the airport. There are over 100 dogs, an untold number of cats. Her local staff has already been kidnapped. We believe that many of them are dead. There is a rumor, it's an allegation, it hasn't been corroborated yet, that the Taliban and ISIS are coming through trying to find the working dogs, the bomb-sniffing dogs in particular, to cut their noses off so that they cannot smell.
Oh my God.
That's the situation right now. People from all over the world are working desperately to try to get a plane in, get the permission to land and the permission to take off. But there is another problem that hasn't been brought to anyone's attention because the humanitarian tragedy is just overwhelming everything. Assuming we could get a plane, assuming we could get permission, the plane cannot land in the United States. There is an American woman, American service dogs who have given their lives to the American cause in Afghanistan, dozens, if not more, companion animals. And because last month, the CDC banned the entry of dogs from 113 countries into the United States because of not a rabies risk, not an increased rabies risk, but because they say they don't have sufficient manpower to review the rabies certificates, that plane cannot land with those dogs in the United States. So it is a humanitarian problem, and the CDC has refused to engage with anyone on this issue before Kabul and now.
This is a terrible crisis, and we've been monitoring it. You know, certainly we don't want to do anything to put anybody in danger. Bonnie.
Yes, here I am.
And, yes. And so we literally jumped on the air trying to understand the situation, because once we understand the situation, then perhaps there's somebody who knows a member of Congress. I emailed a member of Congress some of this basic information. Tamara, you're the first person, also an attorney in New York City, who let me know about this. What is your understanding of what the situation is? Because there's also a British rescuer. He actually got to the airport with his dogs. Then the tragic bombing occurred, I'll say on Thursday, in case this is viewed at some later time. And now we have a day later. Obviously, our hearts go out to everybody who died and was injured. It's incomprehensible. Our hearts go out to the service members, the U.S. service members who died, and the people of Afghanistan who died. It was carnage at the airport. Give us your perspective on what can we do to be of service. Obviously, there's GoFundMe pages on the intro to this live video. Donate. I donated. At $5, $10, $100, $1,000, it will help because a lot of this has to do with, do you have money for a cargo plane, and can you pay someone to allow to be landed? But what's your sense of it, Tamara?
Okay, so we're talking about two different groups, right? So the American group is the Kabul Small Animal Rescue, and they are at the airport, but their team is divided. Their founder is inside with the dogs. Their staff that are very much in danger are outside with the cats. Now we're jumping to the other major animal rescue. Their name is Nozad. Their founder is Paul Penn Farthing, author of 3 different books. They were in the hot Afghani sun for close to 48 hours. He was fortunate in that he got all of his team and all of his animals into the airport inside the fence. However, he was turned away and told to leave the airport because apparently the rules had changed about the type of passport that one should show up with. And with the tighter rules about passport, his team was told to leave the airport. The dogs and cats had been in crates for close to 2 days in the 100-degree heat by that time. And as they were leaving the airport, the bombs went off from the ISIS suicide bomber. So then there was, of course, panic and chaos, and he was attempting to get his animals back on trucks and get those trucks out of the airport with people screaming, Taliban shooting, tear gas going off, just chaos. He managed to get back to his rescue, and there hasn't been news from his rescue. Again, the name of that rescue is Nozad. There hasn't been news from them since yesterday.
Oh my God.
I'm assuming that he took out all of the animals out of the crates and fed them and watered them, and because after 48 hours in that heat, I'm surprised they didn't have heat stroke, and possibly some of them did.
They're doing everything they can. Here's a look at just one of the dogs from the Kabul Small Animal Rescue. Again, these are American contractors' dogs and cats. The American contractors had to flee. They didn't want to just dump their dogs on the street. They took them, in many cases, our understanding is, obviously we're a world away, to the Kabul Small Animal Rescue, and quite possibly this other rescue. It might be the same thing with the British who are leaving. And then the people who run those rescues, who are American and British, but work with a whole bunch of Afghanis who are animal lovers. I have a photo of all of them holding animals. I don't want to show it because I don't know what the repercussions could be. We have a video of one of the leaders crying and begging, but I don't want to show it anymore. We showed it previously, but I don't know what impact it could have because social media is being monitored. So we've reached some of these folks on the phone, and they hang up because they're concerned. Now, one of the things, Bonnie Klapper, is that people say, well, animals don't count in a situation like this. First of all, I think it's very clear, very important to make clear that these animals would be traveling in a cargo hold that would not hold people. Okay.
Exactly. They would not take a seat.
On that, as somebody who's a noted attorney, a former prosecutor who has worked with U.S. attorneys on both coasts, you are a person who has fought for justice for people. Let's just clear up that false narrative that we shouldn't be talking about this.
Absolutely. No one is saying, though I would beg to differ as an animal lover and a vegan, no one is saying get the animals out instead of the people. The people are in seats. They're not in cargo to the extent people are getting out. The animals will ride in cargo. So they will not be displacing a single Afghani refugee. They will not be displacing a single American, not a single Afghani staff member. And just think about it. You're an American service member. You've rescued a dog in Afghanistan. That dog is your lifeline. That dog is your life. That dog is the treatment for your PTSD. And now you've had to leave that dog behind. So the humanitarian, one battle, one fight, human freedom, animal rights, it's all together. No one is saying bring the dogs and cats out and leave the people behind. We're saying bring them out together. But I have to say, as an American, shame on the United States. The CDC has been silent. Assuming we can get this woman out with those dogs, they have to find a friendly third country. Believe it or not, the country of Jordan has talked about letting her in with the dogs if she can get out. But her own country, the United States, will not let those dogs in because of the CDC ban. If you are interested in helping, in addition to donating, and I would urge you to donate to an organization, a small organization called Puppy Rescue Mission. They are in direct contact with the rescue on the ground, and they specialize in getting military dogs out. Reach out to your senator, reach out to your congressional representative. If anyone listening to this has a contact with Senator Tammy Duckworth, that's who needs to hear this. She has the ear of the Pentagon. She's a noted vet herself, and perhaps she can make this happen. But as of now, as I said, I know I'm repeating myself, but it's just making me nuts. Even if we can get the woman and the animals out, they can't come home because the CDC will not let them in.
So many rules and regulations,
Right.
and it seems like this is the kind of thing that should have been thought through prior to all of this. One Google search will tell you that there are a lot of Americans working with people of Afghanistan who care about animals. And can you explain, Tamara, a little bit about what you told me when you first contacted me the night before last about this? And we did our first live video at like 2 a.m. just to get the word out about why even showing this compassion to rescued animals that may have been connected to Americans in some way poses a risk for the Afghani animal rescuers. Compassion for animals is a universal thing. It doesn't belong to any nationality, ethnicity, race, gender. Everybody is capable of compassion to animals, and there are many people in Afghanistan who care, and they've devoted their lives. We have a photo of them, and I don't want to show it for fear of getting into trouble. Can you explain what the issue is, Tamara?
Okay. Sure. Well, I'm not an expert in Islam, or particularly not in Sharia, but my understanding is that dogs are considered haram in Sharia, and so hugging a dog, touching a dog, having the dog show affection. Certainly, if the dog licks you, its nose, its mouth, all of that is considered not just bacterially unclean, but ritually and religiously unclean. And so to show affection to an animal, to laugh as a puppy is licking you, is clearly to be westernized. And being westernized right now includes wearing Western clothing. A t-shirt and jeans identifies you as someone who's been Americanized. That's going. People are afraid to wear those clothing now.
Yeah, let me jump in and ask you, though, about these folks who have helped Americans because they care about animals, and there's a large group of them. Apparently, with this one rescue, there's 150 of them, 20 staffers plus their families, approximately. All of this, by the way, is stuff that we can't really confirm, but where our general understanding is that there's about 150, and they just love animals. They're Afghanistan people, and they were helping, but their association with the Americans could put them in jeopardy. In general, can you explain that whole philosophy?
Well, having worked alongside and inside Kabul Small Animal Rescue, and having attained a degree as a veterinarian, if you're a woman, I mean, that's forbidden now. Like you are not a decent woman if you have that level of education and if you work alongside an American team assisting, in particular, dogs. So this is a triple threat. You're female, you're educated, you're working with Americans, and you're helping their dogs. I should say quadruple threat. That's why these staff people have to board those planes. And I fully understand why the executive director does not want to leave without them, does not want to leave them at the mercy of people who will consider them, completely expendable.
So, Bonnie, again, I don't want to make any leaps. We are just trying to have the issue out there so that if somebody has a connection with somebody in government,
Yes.
that maybe these people can be pulled in, and we're approaching the supposed deadline of withdrawal, August 31st. This is getting closer. That's Tuesday. The situation obviously is extremely tragic and volatile. Again, our hearts go out to everyone who suffered in these horrific bombs that went off. It's such a chaotic situation, but we don't want to just throw up our hands and say, well, it's chaotic, I can't do anything about it, I'm going to just go about my day. Bonnie.
Everybody knows somebody who knows somebody. I have spent most of yesterday and today texting everyone I know who might know someone who can get them in touch with a congressional representative or a senator. The problem, I believe the government is aware of the problem. There have been some communiques, we've received some communication from members of the military who are appalled at the situation. So as all of us on the outside, instead of just simply watching in horror and in tears, we've got to do what we can do to get both the US government and the congressional representatives and the CDC to pull together. I would tell you to email the CDC, but it's a waste of time. There's a group of us from a coalition that is fighting the CDC ban. We have sent emails, letters, phone calls for over a month now, and we've gotten exactly nowhere. When I emailed Dr. Fauci at the beginning of the pandemic about the wet markets in New York City, I at least got an email back saying, I'm sorry, I'm very busy right now. From the CDC now, we get nothing. So there's no one there to communicate with. The only people that will have some power to force the CDC to engage on this issue are your representatives, state, federal, whoever you have to contact. Make as much noise as possible, because if the stars align and we can get the American and I'm not distinguishing American versus British, but the British are working on their end to get the rescuer and his staff and the animals out. The CDC position is they're from a rabies country and therefore they can't come. We have people, the ARC at JFK and many of the airline facilities have said, cost-free, we will house these dogs in quarantine for 6 months or until their rabies titers come back showing they're vaccinated. Just get them the hell out of that country. But we've made no headway. So I urge all of you, in addition to engaging on getting planes to get the staff and the individuals out, get your representatives to reach out to the CDC and say enough is enough. Let these dogs, these cats in.
Now, I just want to make a point here, because again, one of the common things is, why are you even talking about this? There's people at stake. Well, first of all, these are the beloved companion animals of Americans,
Right,
and U.S. service members who have already been traumatized, who have given and sacrificed, and who certainly would want to see, just like you have a dog and I have a dog, want to see their companion animals get out and not have their noses cut off. So it's not like this is an either or situation. This is also helping the U.S. service members and U.S. contractors who have suffered so much, and the ultimate hurt, right, and trauma of just never knowing, and oh yeah, disposable, right? No, that's not how they feel. These are family members. So it's certainly legitimate. And I think one of the problems with our speciesist society globally is that it's always perceived as an either or. Either you care about animals or you care about people. Right. Let's face it, we're in a global crisis because we have a toxic relationship with the natural world and the animals in it. At whatever you believe, it's a zoonotic illness, wherever you think it started. So when we have that arrogant perspective that we can't even talk about this because human lives are at stake, no, they're intertwined. And the Americans who had to leave their animals, you can bet your bottom dollar they want to see those companion animals get out. And then you have the human. It's all intertwined. These animal rescuers whose lives are in danger simply because they helped animals in Afghanistan who are somehow connected to Americans in some way, shape, or form, Bonnie.
And Jane, I know I'm going to get this wrong, but the Marines have a motto that they leave no one behind. Yet, because of this country's policies, they are leaving behind at least 70 working dogs. I mean, I'm going to try not to cry on the live stream, but imagine these dogs have been saving American and Afghani lives by sniffing for bombs. They're cadaver sniffing dogs, they're drug sniffing dogs. All of them have been left behind in the care of this one American woman who will not leave. She will not leave the animals behind. So we must do whatever it takes to help her get them out. And Jane, you are so right. Our relationship with animals in this world has been toxic. It's why we're in the middle of a pandemic right now. And it isn't either or. We can help both. We can help get out the humans that are helping the animals, and we can do everything possible to get out the animals, because you know what? The animals help the humans. It's a symbiotic relationship, as anyone who has a companion animal knows. I would not leave my dogs behind. So I just urge all of you to do everything you humanly can, even if you aren't a big believer in our government as it is right now. Reach out to anyone and everyone you can in government and let them know that this is happening.
Well, the second I get done with this, I'm going to take this link and send it to my one connection with a member of Congress, and just see if they can do something. I want to thank Bonnie Klapper, noted attorney, animal rights attorney, and with a very storied history working as a prosecutor, and so much. You've done so much. And Tamara Bedic, who is also a very noted attorney. Thank you for taking the time. There is a donate link, 2 donate links in the intro to this video. You can just donate, because a lot of this comes down to, hey, how do I pay for this cargo plane? And there is this supposed possibility of being able to land in Jordan. So we'll keep you updated. Thank you. And
thank you, Jane.
Thank you, Jane.
Thank you, Bonnie. Thank you, Tamara.
Thank you so much.
Okay. And thanks to everyone out there that cares.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.